bottom feeders out there. That's the new name we came up for.
That's what we're calling our fans, all 0 of you.
This is Matt here with
Jermaine.
And it's the Bottom of the Barrel podcast. And we're going to get things started. How have you been, Jermaine?
Not too shabby. You know, the end of another work week, and we about to get busy on this podcast. I guess I hope so.
Gotta have our priorities straight.
Yeah, most definitely. How have you been, man? How is business?
Same old, working hard. Or am I hardly working?
They don't claim.
No, I'm working hard, actually. So yeah, I saw that they just listed the 50 greatest Sports Illustrated swimsuit models. Didn't know what you thought of the top 10 or who would be some of your favorites.
Or
if you even want to guess, if you even want to try to guess who would be in the top 10.
All right. I'm gonna try to guess. You know, you can ding me or whatever.
All right.
You know, I always go with the one that I know the most is Katie Ireland.
You mean Kathy Ireland?
Yeah, that's it. See, I even killed her name.
How well do you know her?
Well, I know her body.
Oh.
I am quite the female body inspector.
You've never been too worried about names.
Names just get in the way. Where did she come in on the list?
Kathy Ireland was second.
See, for some reason, I just assumed she would be first, but I think we said Brooklyn Decker made it, right?
Yeah, let's see here. Scroll through. Brooklyn Decker's number 7.
Kate Upton, right?
Kate Upton. Should I go through the top 10 or just get to...
It's probably easier because it'll take me all night trying to remember all the names.
Let's see here.
I can remember them by pictures.
Number 10 is Paulina Poroskova.
That's the one that married the dude from the Cars, right?
Yep, and nobody could believe it. I'm fairly certain they're still together. I've never heard they're not. I'm
pretty sure they are, because she was in that one video, and then they started doing the sordid affair deal. And they've been together ever since, as far as I know.
Yeah, she was in a movie, what was it, Her Alibi with Tom Selleck. I think that was like the height of her career. I'm not sure she did much after that. But
you got me on that one.
Acting-wise.
I just knew she was in that one video, and that's all that I knew of her.
Let's see, she's number 10. Number 9 is fairly recent. How do you say her last name?
Dude, she's hot. That's the one that was dating Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah. Well, he's dated probably half the people on this.
Probably. The dude is a player.
Yeah. I guess Giselle not in Sports Illustrated? She just did Victoria's Secret stuff with them.
See, like I said, I can never remember who did, who didn't.
Yeah.
See,
I'm thinking she didn't, but I could be wrong about that.
I think you're right. I think she's done more high-end stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, Bar Raffaelli, the first and maybe I think only person from Israel to be in a swimsuit issue. A little trivia there for you.
Nice little nugget there.
Yeah.
She's crazy hot. I think she's insanely hot.
Yeah. Where would she be on your list?
It changes. The minute someone else walks on screen or it changes. You know,
so remember she did that. Isn't she the one that did that commercial with that geeky dude that got all that publicity? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
I think it's her that because it was one of Leonardo's exes, and she did a commercial with this kid actor who's just the epitome of he looks like a nerd, and I think it was for like GoDaddy or one of those really stupid,
classy.
And they just make out through like the whole commercial.
What?
It was a Super Bowl ad.
Oh man, I have to check that one out.
And people were like, "How did she get through that?" Like,
that's so funny.
and he was talking about how awesome it was, and afterwards, I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm sure it was."
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I never knew who she was until they started dating.
Really?
Because they were like, "Oh, Leonardo's girl," and I was like, well, "Who's he?" I was like, "Holy crap!"
Somebody mentioned recently how his actual life is, even though he's played people with fantastic lives, like, you know, Howard Hughes and all these people,
right?
Nobody's life is better than his.
No way, not even close.
I mean, they've had even recent pictures of him on a boat surrounded by beautiful women. It's just like another day in the life of DiCaprio.
For real, man.
No wonder Tobey Maguire's always trying to hang out with him.
Well, it's funny because, like, you think of, like, Entourage, and, like, that's, like, his life, but way more exciting.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that, you know, Kevin Connolly is one of his boys.
Really?
And, yeah, you know, that's why I think Kevin Connolly got the job, because he was in Leonardo's Entourage before that. You know, he had done a few acting things, but nothing of note. But you always saw him with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire, because, like I said, all those guys hang out. And there's a couple of other people in that little crew of theirs. And once he got Entourage, I was like, oh, that was an easy transition for him.
How come I never got into an Entourage like that? I blame you.
Thanks. Well, we could have done it if we had moved out to Hollywood and tried to get in the acting game. We'd eventually would have, you know, met somebody. And we'd probably be a part of, like, Eric Roberts' Entourage. It'd be strange and weird.
Gallagher's Entourage.
Oh, that would be horrible. We'd be in Carrot Top's Entourage. Everyone hates him. Dude,
that would be crazy, though.
Seriously.
Carrot Top there's some crazy stories going around about him.
Really?
Well, just with how wild his life is. Like, I don't think he has a hard time getting women.
No. He's hugely successful. Yet people dog him out. But you think a lot of people, the people that are dogging him out, don't have the career he has.
See, I probably never thought I'd do this, but I have to defend Carrot Top for a second, because...
No, I'd defend him. He's easy to make fun of, but I'll defend him.
Yeah, I mean, he came to our school back in the day and did a show.
Yep.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I went to it.
Yeah, I mean, it was entertaining.
Hey, I was laughing like a maniac. I'm not gonna lie.
And people always make fun because he's a prop comic.
Right.
And we always joke about that Dom Herrera skit or bit in Seinfeld where he's like... Jerry's like, is this a bit? Hey, I don't do bits.
I'm a prop comic.
He's just so proud of that. And I can't name another prop comic after Carrot Top.
No.
Like, I guess Gallagher? Like, yeah. I guess you would call him one. And after that, it's like, who else is there?
But I don't even think Gallagher can pack the shows that Carrot... I mean, it's a full house every time Carrot Top's
on the road. Now, maybe in the 80s or something.
Yeah, wherever Carrot... I know he does the Vegas thing now, but anytime he does something, man... Place is packed.
He's huge. But think of how, going around, getting started, going to open mics at the Comedy Store or wherever, you're going around with all these comics, and you go up there with, like, a bunch of props, like stuff you made.
Yeah.
He got ragged on like crazy.
Oh, no doubt.
And now he's just laughing at him, like, yeah, how you guys doing?
He's still doing those little hole-in-the-wall clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where it's just, it's become, what you do, you beat down Carrot Top. It's like Dane Cook, it's the thing to beat down Dane Cook. I mean, I don't find Dane Cook funny, but again, Dane Cook packs places. He's got a loyal fan base.
Oh yeah, I don't quite get it, but
I mean, get it,
he's successful.
He's good at, he's good at packing places is what I'll say. And you can never hate on that. You can dislike the material.
Yeah.
But we strayed from our list there.
Yeah.
So we were at number 9.
Number 9 was Bar. Number 8, you probably heard of her, Christy Brinkley.
Yeah. See, I would have thought she'd have been higher because, again,
Yeah, I was thinking she'd be like top 4 at least.
that's one where, she was the it for a long time.
Oh yeah, it was like she was. I think probably her and Cindy Crawford. When I first even knew what a model was, they were like the 2 people.
Yeah,
because they were everywhere.
Yeah, you couldn't turn on TV and not see Cindy Crawford.
No.
What she made moles sexy because then everyone had to have one.
Yeah, which I don't quite get,
but you know how people are, man. Because didn't Madonna have one at a point, or maybe she still does?
You're right. Or maybe I don't know.
I felt like she did, and then got rid of it.
Is that why Robert De Niro has a mole?
Maybe. Maybe he started the trend, and we just forgot.
I guess so. Let's see. 7 is Brooklyn Decker.
Which remind me to come back to Robert De Niro.
Okay. Brooklyn Decker married to Andy Roddick, the tennis player.
Crazy rag. I'm just being honest. She's got a crazy rag. I know that makes me sound sleazy, but I'm just being honest.
Well, we're not talking about people famous for being in swimsuits.
Hey, and I'm just keeping it real. Which I hate saying keeping it real, but I just did.
And life is good because how did they meet? Andy Roddick got his agent to give her a call for him or something, get her number or whatever.
Unbelievable.
Like, hey, ask that girl out for me. And he knew her because he was going through the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. So how good is your life? You only won one major tournament. You were considered a huge disappointment.
You were the guy for us as Americans that we look to you to bring us back to the forefront in tennis.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do it.
And you let us down time and time again. And you're like, go through this magazine like it's the Sears catalog. You're like, I'll take that one. All right, agent. And you're married to her.
Yeah, she tried out that acting thing, and
I don't think it went very far.
No.
I haven't heard much. She did that one movie. Was that like an Adam Sandler movie?
Yeah, just go with it. I actually saw it. It's actually not the worst movie I've ever seen. Which,
that's high praise for an Adam Sandler movie.
The worst thing about the movie is that it's too long. Like, it's like 2 hours long. I mean, it's predictable come on. We know. But it's just way too long. And I'll say the one thing that I will say about that movie is, how Jennifer Aniston is supposed to be the nerdy other girl who's mildly attractive.
Right.
But even at her worst, she's still way hotter than Brooklyn Decker to me. I just think, like, you watch that movie and you're just like, this woman is freaking amazing.
Aniston.
Yeah, she's just crazy hot to me. And I know I've said that about a lot of people, but there's something for rarely do you see someone who, as they get older, still seem to get even hotter at times.
Yeah, she's definitely one of them. She, like, when she was a teenager, or maybe 20, and you look at her now, because she actually got a nose job when she was really young.
Right.
And whoever did it did very good work. And she looks at least as good now as she did when she was on Friends.
Right.
Which is pretty amazing, because that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
And even Courtney Cox is finally starting to look weird.
Yeah.
And I was really disappointed by that, because I was thinking, and she was a Ford model, Aniston was never a model, I don't think.
Nah, not to my knowledge.
Yeah, but Courtney Cox was a Ford model, the Ford modeling agency, not like Ford cars. But, that's
thanks for clearing that up for the bottom feeder.
Be like Norm's podcast. I don't even explain for the folks. But so anyway, I always got the impression she was the kind of person, naively, Courtney Cox, that wouldn't get into plastic surgery. But she got to the point where she had to start fiddling with her face, and now she looks all weird like every other person.
Yeah.
And it's like I want to tell every female. I know it's really hard because so much is based on looks, and you get into your 40s and all this, but I'm like, it almost never works out.
No. Look at what was what's the one, is it Dana Delaney?
Yeah.
Where, she did I want to say the Botox, and it gave her like a lazy eye for a little while.
Oh.
Yeah. So she was like, don't do it. It's not worth it. And, and she, she's just like you said, she's like, it is the business that they're in, and, everything is appearance. It's still not worth it.
Who was the one that, they put, like, she had to sue because instead of, like, Botox, they put, like, what was it? I want to say something really weird, like, almost like oil or gasoline in her face. Something crazy.
Ugh.
It was like a lawsuit about it.
No, you got me.
Anyway, I'll have to go on from that since I can't remember who. I'm just like, know who your doctor is.
Yeah, like, I don't know what Jennifer Aniston is doing, what she's drinking, or whatever it is, but it's working. And, excuse me, if you're thinking about doing anything, you should and you're a female, you should call her.
Find out what it is.
And do the exact thing.
Number 6 was kind of before our time, but I remember hearing about her a ton. Was Cheryl Tiegs.
Yeah, that's definitely before our time.
Yeah, that's probably more like our dad's favorite. But I know she was huge for a while.
The name, you know the name for sure.
Yeah, number 5 is Heidi Klum.
Of course.
Can't argue with that.
No.
Actually, she'd have been at least one spot higher on my list.
Yeah, I can't. Every time, I don't know, for some reason, when I think of Heidi Klum, I think of that episode of Spin City where Michael J. Fox kisses her butt.
Oh, yeah?
Because they're, like, dating, and he goes in for a kiss, and she bends over. So he ends up kissing her butt, and the paparazzi shows up at that exact moment, and they photograph him kissing her butt. So it's, like, in the front page of the news.
I did not see that, but now
I don't know.
to.
It was a hilarious episode for me. So those of you who are familiar with Spin City.
Well, Heidi Klum, I mean, it's win-win.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Tyra Banks.
Dude, she used to be crazy hot. And
that's just crazy. I don't know.
I think it's certain women in Hollywood whose attitudes, for some reason, overcome their hotness. Like, Jennifer Lopez is one, where at one time I was just like, oh my goodness. And now I'm just like, ugh. And when she was on screen, I just get irritated.
Yeah, like,
and she's still attractive. I mean, she's still attractive. I just, when I see her, I can't even go there because I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
I just see attitude. And like, Beyonce used to be like that for me, where, she'd walk on screen, I'm like, oh yeah. And then I'm just like, ugh. Here we go.
Well, Beyonce is a whole other thing, because she just seems so fake to me.
Yeah. But, again, there's certain ones whose attitudes just take over their hotness.
Yeah.
I mean, I can say that, but the minute she walked through the door and was like, you, me, now, I'd be like, okay. And my voice would get high like that, too.
You'd be like, no. See, I've been thinking about things, and your attitude and just your personality is really getting in the way.
No. I would cave. It would be quick, too.
Oh, I'm sure about that.
I know. Not that. I'm talking about change of attitude. I mean, everything else they would get 100% of. It'd be like slow cooking, like some pulled pork, baby.
Great, now I can never eat that again. I'm gonna have to throw away my crock pot.
We gotta get back on topic.
Oh, jeez. Number 3, Kate Upton. So, I mean, she's freaking huge right now.
Literally.
Yeah. But,
another superior set of eyes.
Yeah. But, I mean, her career, I mean, every other model's got to be jealous of her right now.
Yeah. She's very jiggly. I don't know. It's like the best thing I can come up.
All right. We didn't need to describe every body part or anything.
Yeah, I do what I do. I mean, what else do we know her for?
Well, yeah, that's true. She can dance.
Yes.
Number 2 is the person you guessed, Kathy Ireland.
Kathy and Katie. Doesn't matter. It's a K.
She was in it all the time when I was a kid.
See, that's why I thought she would be number one, because it was like literally every time it came out, she was on the cover. That's the way I felt.
But I can honestly say I guessed the top three.
That's impressive, because I was struggling. Like I said, I only got the one.
Well, I thought Upton might actually be number two just because she's so huge right now, but I agree with the top three, actually. Number one being Elle Macpherson. And, I mean, she was everywhere, too. She was all over. She was in that thing a ton. But any thoughts on Elle Macpherson?
Not really. She was never, like, super, I was never crazy about her. Mm-hmm. Definitely attractive, but just not, I think the thing that I remember most is that skit from Saturday Night Live with Norm MacDonald, more than anything, with her, when he was like in a coma and he comes out and he sees her and he's thinking like, "Oh, you're my wife or my girlfriend," and she's like, "No, I'm your sister." And he's like, "We're from one of those crazy backwoods families where brothers and sisters kind of." And his wife was like Sherry O'Terry, and she was all broke down. He's like, "Ah!"
I totally forgot about that skit.
Oh my god, that's like one of my favorites. This is just classic Norm MacDonald. He's like, "But I don't remember you, so technically..." He's just trying to rationalize the whole thing.
It always comes back to Norm.
Oh my god.
It's like the most brilliant comedic mind around.
The guy is so funny.
I just saw or heard a short clip with Dennis Miller talking about Norm and saying, they were raising the question of when he says certain things, is it really what he thinks, or is he doing like an Andy Kaufman type performance? Where he's just.
I really wonder with him. You can never tell because he's so good.
Yeah.
Because
he said, it was the guy on Dennis Miller's shows. There was a guy who was like an old producer or something at Saturday Night Live, and he was saying that he and Norm were working out this thing about. I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was like selling newspapers to the homeless or something like that, and just some stupid, offensive to the homeless people type. And they never did it on the show. And then there was a benefit for the homeless, and Norm MacDonald got asked to do it. And he goes up and does like 10 minutes or whatever for this benefit. And then he tells this guy, he's like, "Hey, yeah, I did this benefit," or and remember that story about selling newspapers to the homeless? It's like, yeah, I did that, and they hated it. And just his whole thing of being shocked that they hated it.
I just think that commercial that they did for one of their sponsors, the Mangrate, with Nick Swartzen, where they're laughing the whole time. And the fact that they lost their sponsor based off that commercial.
Really?
Yeah, like after they did it, they're like no longer if you watch the podcast, they no longer do the Mangrate. And I was like, I wanted to play it, like, if you feel like sitting through it.
Oh, go ahead.
I just think it's classic. To me, it's like one of the funniest things.
I'm told by Nick Swartzen that he's come up with a new impression for his act, known for his impressions. What is it again?
This is Mr. Furley talking to the 20-year-old girl he just woke up next to. Or no, he's in the middle of sex with her.
I'm coming in your butt! God. Well, listen, man. Hey, your mouth is my toilet. Wait, what about the Mangrate?
Is that like a genital cleanser?
No, my God. It is 100% made in America. Cast iron grilling grate. It's revolutionizing the way people grill.
Jesus.
What?
I thought it was like a... All right.
You want to hear what it has?
Yeah.
It has heavy-duty grilling grates. Deliver exactly what you need to achieve that perfect steakhouse flavor. Chicken, steak, has never tasted so good. Listen. No more dry meat.
That's what the girl said to Mr. Peru.
Oh, come on now. Hey, it was named one of 2012's best grilling accessories by Men's Health magazine. Mangrates, there's more fucking facts about the mangrate than about Nick. Mangrates are the perfect gift for Dad this Father's Day. Your dad's alive?
No.
God damn it. I'm sorry about your dad.
That's fine.
Go to mangrate.com and enter the coupon code NORM for their $19.99 Father's Day special. 100% made in America. 100% cast iron. Hey, how about this? Each Norm MacDonald show order comes with a heavy-duty grilling brush.
Jesus.
What? Man, great. What do you think of that?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again. Again. That's the Mangrate Grill Enhancement System. Order today at mangrate.com and enter the coupon code NORM at checkout. Now, you're going to... It weighs a lot of pounds.
Is that heavy?
Nah. Listen, man, what was that fucking Vegas story?
Jesus Christ. Sorry. What is in that?
I think that's one of the single funniest things I've heard in a long time.
He's like, your dad's alive.
This fucking thing.
The problem with Norm getting sponsors, because remember, I think the first podcast he did, he didn't have any.
Right.
And the first couple, the problem with him getting sponsors is you're not 100% sure it's a real product.
Exactly.
When the first time he talked about the mangrate, I'm like, this is a bit.
I thought the same thing, and then the podcast after that, he was like, no more mangrate. And I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, I looked it up, and it's a real product. But why would you even advertise with Norm MacDonald if you think something might go askew?
Yeah.
Might not.
I don't know. I don't even understand why they would even drop it, because to me, that was classic enough to get people to you go, yeah, maybe I should get this mangrate.
I want to get it just because of the name and that they talked about it.
I don't know. I don't think you could get better advertising than that, because that's freaking hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Especially for something which looks like it's fairly upstart. You know, how could that be bad at this point?
Some member of the board. What the heck just happened?
Hey, ruin that product. Oh, man.
He ruins the great name of Louis C. Mangrate IV.
Oh, and it made me think of the whole Robert De Niro thing, which I don't know why when you said Robert De Niro, it just made me think of this whole thing. Do you remember, I think Sybil Shepherd was doing an interview, and she was talking about some of the people she dated or had a chance to date in Hollywood.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, because I'm a big De Niro fan, so I found it interesting. And, Sybil Shepherd was a taxi driver.
Yeah.
And, De Niro asked her out, while they were shooting the movie.
Huh.
And she turned him down. So,
Wow.
of course, she says, pretty much was, they did the movie, and that's, the only time he talked to her during the movie after she turned him down. And she's, one of the single biggest regrets of her life.
Really?
Yeah, because she was like, think about it in terms of if they started dating, they would have been Hollywood power couple, that type of thing. And, because her career was she'd get movies and then nothing, and then she'd get a series and then nothing, that kind of thing.
They might have taken her more seriously, too.
Right. You know how the whole Hollywood thing works. The more power, jazz, tabloid type stuff that you got going for you, works in your favor.
Yeah.
And that, especially that, that dating game, it definitely opened more doors for her. But but you think about all the people that either she dated or wanted to date her at one time, Elvis was crazy about her.
I heard that, I think, yeah. She was beautiful,
yeah. Jack Nicholson. She was supposed to go out on a date with Jack Nicholson and called it off at the last minute. And she was like, and she said she set the date up to make her, I guess that one director that she dated on and off, and I think they got married for a little while. I can't think of the guy's name.
Not Peter Bogdanovich.
That's the one.
Bogdanovich.
Yeah, she set that date up to make him jealous. So she had no intentions of going out with Jack Nicholson, and then she's the day of she called it off, and she was like, again, one of the worst things she could have done because Jack he trashed her.
Really?
Yeah,
But you're probably not used to getting turned down.
I mean, come on. I just thought that that was kind of interesting. The fact that those moves probably helped hurt her career because all of those things. And I know that as sad as that's to say, but we know how the business of Hollywood works.
Yeah,
it's bizarre how that could have helped her. I don't know. That's one of those little things that I found interesting that maybe not the rest of the world would care about.
No, but it's true. And then you think of Katie Holmes, whose career was probably hurt by who she ended up with for a while.
Yeah.
But I think
it's weird because it kind of made her a household name.
Yeah, it did.
But not for what she wanted.
Yeah, but it was more, I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't in a good way, though.
It was, before then, I think the people who knew or even cared about her was a lot less. And then after that, she became the pop culture in a way because she was going to be in magazines and on TV, but not for acting.
Well, was it Victoria Beckham?
Yeah.
I mean, Posh Spice was the one member of the Spice Girls that nobody gave a crap about. She was the most forgettable person in that group. And now I read how recently they all got back together at some event, and she was too good to be photographed with them.
Yeah, she would if they looked at her, she would turn away.
Yeah. It's I'm bigger than you guys ever were.
It was for the Olympics, wasn't it?
Maybe so.
I want to say it was for the Olympics, some concert for that. I could be wrong. But yeah, that was pretty funny.
Mm. What else going on? You been following any Paula Deen stuff?
I haven't jumped right in. I've heard this and that. What do you know about it? Because you probably know more about me. I've heard.
Well, I don't know enough, so part of me, I'm no expert because I have this whole duality with this kind of story where I find it kind of interesting, and at the same time, I get annoyed by it.
Right.
But my take on it is she's being sued by a former employee, her and her brother, by the way that they were treated by Deen, or the girl was treated by Deen and her brother. And in that, deposition or whatever, she said, Deen talked a certain way and said certain things, and Deen, used the N-word. Deen's like, well, yeah, I did use that. I have used it. But then I'm hearing stuff where she's saying, well, I haven't said it in 30 years, and I regret it, and all this stuff. I haven't said it in a really long time. So it's it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird in the way I look at it, because I never want to be looked at like I'm defending Paula Deen. She annoys the crap out of me.
Right.
And this is just more evidence of that. And a friend of mine said something, Earl actually, if you remember, but Earl said he knows people that used to work for her, and that she was very condescending to her black employees and stuff like that. So there's probably something to it. There's probably something, but at the same time, I think of this whole hypocrisy of she's losing every friggin' sponsor, and she's handled it poorly. I mean, nobody bought her apology, or it just was weird. They even bought it. It's just the way she did it. She canceled the first appearance, and
it was bizarre because I think she initially tried, from what I gather, and I could be completely wrong, where she tried to defend it, then try to apologize for it. It came out as, from what I heard, was I grew up in a different time, And yeah, I said it when I was being robbed. And it's
it
like,
was the guy that was robbing her.
why don't you just apologize first and don't try to defend it? Because there's no way you're gonna come out looking good trying to defend it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It just seemed, okay, let me explain why it happened, and then I'm gonna apologize. Which that was kind of weird for me.
Well, I think I could be wrong, but maybe not. But somebody said she either did fire her publicist or should, because like that's what really people think she lost sponsors because of the way she handled the apology more than even what came out that she said.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, do I think she's a racist? Probably on some level. Like, it's hard to me, this is going to sound stupid, but to me, it's not that, to me, it's not that black and white. You know? Right.
I know. I get what you're saying.
I mean, I think there's more, it's kind of a hard thing to look at, like, but, what was that noise?
Oh, that was probably a car driving by here. Sorry.
Someone, your stomach or something.
No, somebody like revved up like right outside my window.
But she's losing every friggin' sponsor or business associate she has, and I think somebody along the lines is gonna regret it because she's gonna make people money.
Oh well, you see, like a lot of people have just said we're pausing. Like I think Target, QVC.
Well, that takes guts, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're really taking a stand. They just want to let the heat die down.
Right, exactly.
And Kmart, I think Kmart, those three have said we're just gonna pause because they're not ready to throw her away. Whereas the other ones have just cut ties altogether.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, let's see how this thing plays out.
But she's gonna make money for people. Like she's too popular because you can look at this different ways and look at it as sad commentary or however you want to look at it. But the sales of her latest cookbook after all this stuff's come out have shot through the roof.
She's got a loyal fan base, so I think literally she's probably gonna be like the Louis C.K. of the cook. She's not really a chef. She's I guess what's the proper term for her? A cook? Well, I don't know what but because she's not classically trained. But I just think like she'll do her website and get X amount of sponsors, and it's still gonna go. She's still gonna hear from her, and then eventually people will slowly forget, and she'll be right back.
Yeah,
because I don't
like her name she might always have that stigma, but I think she'll bounce back to some extent. Yeah. I mean, some people probably disagree with that, but
no, I mean, and as a black man, it's always disturbing when you hear. And the one comment is really disturbing where she's talking about her son's wedding.
Oh, yeah, and I still don't even understand that, but she wanted to do, like, have black people dressed like slaves or something? Or how was it?
It would have them in, like, tuxedo tops and shorts.
Yeah.
But they had to be black.
But it was some slave thing,
I don't know. It was like a plantation.
Plantation.
And that, to me, is really disturbing. But
that's probably the most disturbing part of the whole thing.
Yeah, like, I'm like, who?
Because who would even think, how could you ask people to do that?
How can you defend that? Like, and whatever, the way, like I said, that's why it's disturbing to me, like, her trying to defend it instead of apologizing. It was like, I'll defend it, and then it's like, oh crap, people are actually upset about this. Now I have to apologize.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things like where we talk about how people are so out of touch sometimes. But she thought, I'm sweet old lady. People love me. They just think I'm being silly because that's more or less that's kind of her thing.
Yeah.
I'm lovable older woman. I'm sassy, and people don't take my words that seriously. And I thought she kind of thought like, it's not as bad as it sounds, or as bad as people are making it out to be. But that for me was like, whoa.
Did you see how she was on a show a year or two ago and talking about how non-racist people should be in this world, and how there was some guy in her life that was a black guy that was important to her, and she even wanted him to come out and and speak on the talk show, and she's talking about him, and then apparently, like, he's against the dark background, and she goes, "Come on out where we can see you." So it's like,
oh my god.
I mean, that shit.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm sorry, you caught me off guard with that. Oh my god.
But yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I really feel like she's this person who's like, I've just figured out at 60 years old or however old I am that I should respect all races. And, you know, I think I will. And then she says something racist, like, immediately.
Right.
And I don't know,
it's interesting because, like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Neelys.
I don't think so.
Well, you know, they're a husband and wife cooking team. You know, they're on the Food Network. They have a show, and they're black. And, you know, they've done shows with Paula Deen. And they commented and said, like, you know, they said, you know, we'll say this, that we've worked with her, and she's been nothing but kind and sweet and has, you know, never done anything to the nature of the things that we read. But we definitely read and took notice of what was said, which we find disturbing. But what we can say is that through our personal interactions, we never saw any of that behavior, but we're not going to ignore what, you know, what is taking place, which, you know, I thought was, you know, a good way of handling it, because they could have just, you know, again, turned against her and just went all in, but they were like, no, you know, this is what we know.
Yeah.
But we are aware, and, you know, we're kind of looking at this thing, seeing how things, you know, kind of turn out, you know, because it to me, some of the things are disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
Like that plantation wedding thing just was like, oh my goodness.
And it seems like racism is often, you know, it comes off in like a subtle way with people.
Right.
Like, it's not, and that's the thing, you're not going to see an actor going around in a KKK outfit, like, everything he says is the worst, or some celebrity.
Right.
So it's just, people are more complex than that. Like, Mel Gibson will say horrible things about Jewish people, and his publicist, or agent, his entire career is a Jewish guy. Like, and Paula Deen has said these horrible things. She's a Barack Obama supporter and had Michelle Obama on her show and talked about how much she loved her, you know, like a year ago or whenever. So it's interesting, which I guess brought up something else, where today in my store, this old guy came in, and it reminded me of a skit that Amy Schumer did on her show. Maybe you should describe the show.
No, you're doing good. You know, it was Amy Schumer's got a sketch comedy show on Comedy Central, and she did a sketch about racist old people. Like, I guess that's the basic way to explain it, where you can, you know, get them signed up for a class to help them with their racism because they grew up in a different time.
Right.
And, like, they just have these different sketches with, you know, black people, Asian people. I don't know what other way to describe it unless they kind of have to see. Yeah,
you should look at it. I won't describe much of it, but a black guy jumps in a pool. They're all watching, and he's like, and everybody acts nervous, assuming he can't swim.
You know,
and he's like, "Oh, I'm okay, everybody."
Because it's the old stereotype that black people can't swim. Yeah. So you hear people go, "Oh, someone save him!"
Yeah.
And then he comes up and go ahead.
And the old lady goes, "He's so articulate."
And the guy's like, "That's not a good thing."
Yeah.
You know, because that's kind of those catch things.
That's not a compliment. Yeah, he goes, "That's not a compliment."
Because that's the thing that they do with black athletes, where they're like, "Oh, he's so articulate," and you're like, "Oh, great."
Which it still boggles my mind that the Vice President of the United States described Obama as articulate when they were running against each other.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
That's a little aside, but whatever.
No, that's a good one, and you know, of course, everyone's like, eh.
And not only did he say he was articulate, he's called him clean.
Oh, good grief! Wow.
But so anyway, the funny thing is, I just saw that sketch yesterday, and then today, this old guy comes in, old white guy, takes him forever to get to the table, he's with a cane and everything. he sits down, and this black lady comes in, and I wait on her and her son, who's like, I don't know, I'm not good at ages, but maybe he's like 8 or younger even. And so then they sit down, and I'm waiting on somebody else, and I hear, and I don't know what preceded this, but I just hear the old guy talking to them and trying to engage them, and then he makes some comment about my African friends. And the dude is friendly, like,
right.
He's a nice guy.
But
it's just, and I was like, oh, it's like this thing went off where I, like, had to pay attention.
Right.
And I was like, please don't say anything else.
No. Trust me.
I think the mother had the same thoughts of, what else are you going to say? And more, if I could read her mind, I'd say more she was worried about what he might say to her son.
Right.
And I think in his mind, he just looked at it as, oh, I've met some awesome people, and I wanted to engage them. And,
right.
But at the same time,
yeah,
can't totally let him off the hook either.
No, it's one of those things. And that's like the thing about the Paula Deen thing when she's like, well, I came up during a different time. And I kind of understand it, but I don't excuse it. Mm. Because, you know, like you said, being that she is a big Obama supporter and that kind of thing, and she did a show about, you know, race, getting rid of racism, you would think you would know the difference, you know, at this point in your life. Because it wasn't like a lot of the stuff just happened years ago. It happened like recently. It wasn't like it happened 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You know?
And even at 60-something, I think she's too young to use the age thing as an excuse.
Exactly.
I used the age thing as an excuse with them.
Right.
But if they were alive today, they'd be 100. I mean, and it wasn't an excuse. It's just you love your grandparents and you're trying to rationalize or think away all the bad things about them because you only want to think of the good things about them. But they would have been 100. Paula Deen's like 60.
Right. There's no excuse. Well, like you said, she did a show talking about, you know, trying to erase the hate or erase racism, and then you say that. Like I said, the whole thing about her son's wedding, that was recently, you know. That wasn't like a bunch of years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was disturbing.
Yeah, and you know, there is another level of it, though, where all these people are now losing their jobs because of this.
Yeah, well, you know, I can tell you my story, and I've got tons of them, but I'll tell you the one that I told you earlier today, and I'll say it for our podcast listeners. When I worked for a certain paint company, I was an assistant manager, and me and my store manager talking to one of our best customers, you know, and literally one of our best was a large chunk of the sales in our store. You know, he's telling us this story about his son doing all of this like charity work, and he works overseas, and you know how a normal parent brags about their kid. And he's telling us about all, you know, his son's over in Haiti building houses for the poor and the people there. And, you know, he's one of those things where, you know, he's showing us how worldly he is. We're like, okay, we got you. And, you know, he's like, do you guys know where Haiti is? And we're like, of course. I mean, it's not like, you know, some weird, small, third world country we never heard of on the other side of, you know.
Yeah.
And he goes, you know, the manager is like, yeah, of course I know where it is. And I was like, yeah, I know where it is. And he points to me and goes, of course you know where it is. You kind of look like they do. And I was just like, great. And, you know, of course, if I say something, he gets offended, we lose this big customer, and my boss would never understand that scenario. But it was just funny because, you know, being that I'm black, the store manager was white, and the look on his face, and I kind of had to like wave him off, like, just let it go. We'll talk about it afterward. And then as the guy leaves, he's like, dude, like he just couldn't believe it. And he's like, man, you know, I'm just impressed how you handled it. I was like, man, I'd like to say this was the first time that happened, but I'm used to it by now. I know how you have to react to it. And it's one of those things where you just, each time it happens, you're just amazed how casual people are about it. Like, I didn't say anything wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I give you credit for keeping it cool, because on some level they probably want a reaction.
Right. He would expect me to fly off the handle, and I think a lot of people do expect you to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people are disappointed when you don't, in a way. In some weird way, I think they are.
Yeah.
Because they expect it. I don't know. But I was just like, it's not going to end well.
No, you did the right thing.
It's just
so...
This is one of those things where you're like, really? Did that just happen?
Like, you want to be able to call a douche a douche. That's what it comes down to.
Well, and I think at the time it was probably 1998 or so when it happened. So, in my mind, I'm like, it's 1998. Do people still think like this? And that's the way I always feel every time something happens. I'm like, really? Are we still there?
That just made me think of that skit with Piscopo and Eddie Murphy doing Ebony and Ivory. And he's Sinatra and
right.
Eddie Murphy's Stevie Wonder. He's like, hey, it's 1982. Which is like just how you said. It was 1998. Like, people still think this way. he's saying, come on, everybody, it's 1982.
Well, it also makes me think of Louis C.K.'s joke about being white and how he's like, if you don't admit that it's great, awesome, you're an asshole. and he's totally right when he says, ask a black guy about a time machine, and the first thing he's gonna say, anything before 1980 ain't no thanks. And I was like, he's right.
Yeah. Man, race jokes are tricky too.
Yeah.
Not to get off topic.
No, I think that particular joke for some reason when we were talking about the date kind of popped in. I'm like, that's one of the parts of the joke that makes me laugh really hard when he's like, ask any black guy about a time machine, and they're like, anything before 1980, no thanks. And I'm like, I love Back to the Future, but I think the whole time in that movie, if I had to go back to the 50s, I'd be like, oh, hell no.
Man, I tried to do a joke at an open mic, kind of thinking like Norm MacDonald. I don't know if it went over well, but the inner beauty contest that UNCG has, and explaining, and the setup's too long, that's part of the problem, but explaining how this one girl was supposed to win and she didn't, and my original line was, she answered every question with, I'm not racist, but...
Which I think is a good line. It's so good that someone decided to lift it.
Yeah, that's another crazy thing. Is when a friend of yours who you're meeting with to go over material just casually says, "Oh yeah, I stole that line from you." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Wait, what?"
It's like an overhand slap to the face.
Oh, and then the real kicker, and I still don't know how I feel about this, because I still like the dude, but now I'm really like, I gotta watch out. Like,
I mean, if he's done that, you gotta wonder if you hit on something else.
Yeah, I mean, but his reasoning for not doing it again, and then he went from, I stole it, to, maybe he saw a look on my face, and then he said he borrowed it.
See, that makes it even worse to me for some reason. That he would go from I stole it to I borrowed it.
Yeah.
You can't make that sound better.
But, and I don't know, maybe he just kind of took the premise, but still, it was just, I think he said that and then maybe tweaked it, but I'm like, you still kind of stole. But and then he goes, oh, I don't do it anymore though, because it didn't get any laughs.
That doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make it okay in my book.
It's like a double slap. I stole your material,
but it wasn't good enough. So you gotta worry about me stealing anything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh man, that was funny. So, anything else you wanna? Oh, do we want to talk about Alec Baldwin? Or?
Oh, we could real quick. I mean, it's just, to me, it's an example of the hypocrisy of everything. Because, and I really have no problem. I mean, I do think it's a multi-layered subject, because with the Paula Deen thing, people are losing their jobs over something their employer said, which sucks. But then you have somebody like Alec Baldwin, who, and we talk about people that get a pass, and why is it that he constantly gets a pass for sex?
I don't get it, because he has said and done things that would bury a lot of other people, and every time he does something, it just seems like they'll print it because they feel like they have to. Yeah. And then it'll just go away.
And it's, oh well.
And like you don't see it plastered on every media outlet like Alec Baldwin, you know.
And the latest thing he did, maybe even yesterday, was some reporter commented that his wife was tweeting during James Gandolfini's funeral, and instead of explaining to the reporter about auto tweeting, which I didn't even know about either, or I don't know how to do, but if that's what happened, apparently she auto-tweeted, she set it up to tweet out at a certain time, which happened to be during the funeral, so he thinks she's tweeting during the funeral, and instead of Baldwin just being like, no man, we would never be like disrespectful like that, she's had it set and whatever, he just starts attacking the guy through Twitter, saying he's gonna kick his butt, of course says it a lot more rudely than that, and then he's like, says something about, I think it was his cell phone, but like, I'll shove it up your ass, but you'd probably like that too much.
How?
So then you have the homophobic.
How in this day and age can you get away with that? And he has.
And the thing before that, which wasn't that long ago, he called a black guy a coon and a crackhead.
Exactly. And that went away like the next day.
Yeah. And you can argue whether Paula Deen, what she's done is worse, but on some level she's got to be like, what the hell?
For real.
But yeah, I mean, he does stuff like this regularly, and I don't know who his publicist is or what deal he made when he became famous. But if I ever get famous, I want to talk to the same people, because things just flow off him like, water off a duck.
Yeah, he can say whatever. It'll get printed, but people won't get upset about it. It won't get any traction. And it's just amazing, Charlie Sheen could get his co-star fired, and there's like so many articles about how horrible a person he is, which you already knew to start with.
That's kind of like
but I still
why we like him at this point.
I still defend him because, again, the thing that they always leave out in that story is this is a person he fought to get on that show.
Yeah. Then
things didn't work out, whether it's she said she talked about his work ethic or whether he wanted to sleep with her and that wasn't going to happen. I'm sure there's a lot of truth in both of those stories, because I wouldn't put it past Charlie.
Yeah.
I mean, she is a woman. That's just how he is. He is who he is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he wants to sleep with every woman he comes in contact with. But apparently not that teen mom from MTV. Because he just flat out told her no thanks. But not in a nice way.
Yeah, I've heard just little pieces of that. Or she said recently Amanda Bynes was less screwed up than Charlie Sheen or something.
Did she say that after he turned her down?
No, yeah, this is like yesterday or today.
There you go. That whole thing. Oof,
I think that has to be the height of insult if you're a woman trying to get some action. And you go up to Charlie Sheen, and when he says no, that's when you hit rock bottom. That's when it might be time to start doing some Pilates or something.
Oh my god.
Or just changing your personality.
And for whatever people say about Charlie, I still think he's the man. I don't know. He's the guy who always gets all pass from me.
Yeah.
And even times he does things, and I'm like, darn it, Charlie, it's making it harder for me to defend you.
And for me, it was Charles Barkley. Because growing up, they'd be, oh, he spit on a kid. Well, he didn't mean to.
I'm the same way with Charles too. He's just got so much personality.
Like he threw someone through a window. He was on the ground floor.
And all the while I was thinking, he probably deserved it.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, that's not a reason. I'm like, well, we don't know the facts. It's just one of those things. But again, we're not in the media. So I don't. I'm always amazed by the things that they blow up and the things that they kind of push to the side. It's all about what's gonna get us the most traction, and we can say it's Charlie Sheen, and let's run with it. But I'm not saying that the things he does doesn't require, doesn't deserve the amount of attention. But at some point, it just becomes really, why is this the biggest thing we're talking about?
Yeah, it's like Lindsay Lohan gets a traffic ticket. Okay.
Why are we still talking about her? And I'm not trying to be funny, but seriously, at this point, well, what has she done to garner the amount of attention? I mean, the Freaky Friday and Mean Girls and whatever the other movies were a long time ago.
Oh yeah, she hasn't. Now she's only famous for her behavior. So if that's the only thing you're famous for, you might as well keep doing it.
Well, I guess that's it. Because the newest thing is that she keeps bouncing from rehab to rehab because they won't let her take Adderall.
What is that? Is it like an antidepressant or something?
And then for the people with attention deficit disorder.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
That's her reasoning, as I put it in air quotes, folks. And that's what the NFL players, like the Seattle Seahawks, that's all of their rationale is. Oh, we all are ADD, which my favorite was Richard Sherman. His excuse before he beat the system was he drank from a friend's water bottle and he crushed up Adderall into his water bottle. I'm like, dude, who does that? I understand people have issues taking pills, but I haven't seen anyone crush Adderall into a water bottle. I don't know.
His friend did it or he did it?
He claims his friend did it and he drank from the wrong water bottle. The Andre Agassi defense.
Yeah.
He went Agassi on us.
Well, those kind of things happen all the time.
Yeah, apparently.
But they never happen to
me. Apparently to athletes. That
happen weird things happen to athletes a lot.
You just, I'm always amazed by some of that one was funny to me because I just thought the Agassi testing positive for, was it crystal meth?
Yeah.
And that was his defense that he drank from his trainer's wife. Apparently his trainer did crystal meth and he crushed it up and put it in his water bottle.
Did he fire his trainer after that happened?
Of course not. But that was the defense that he gave. I
mean, not that I believe it.
Whatever, I don't know the tennis association's deal. But, that was when they confronted him. That was the defense he got, and they gave, and they were like, "That sounds logical."
Man, I know we probably want to wrap this up soon, but tennis gets a hall pass just in general, and I don't get it other than because I'm convinced 80% of tennis players are on something.
Well, that's what they said. Like they said that, that tennis couldn't afford a hit like that. One of their players going down on that kind of suspension.
Well. And if, say, a Nadal or Federer went down, yeah, I think it would be maybe not as much. It would be pretty big. It would be a big deal, and I think that's why they don't look into it. Federer has actually wanted more testing. He says, and there was just another guy recently who said, he's like, yeah, they never test us. It just almost never happens, and I don't know. I mean, I don't want to go after anybody specifically, maybe, but there's a lot of people that I just don't buy it.
Right. Yeah, and that's the one thing that I've always heard is that they fear that it would cripple the sport.
And it's big names.
Yeah.
I mean, and I will say that it's hard to buy Serena Williams excuses.
The panic room one.
Yeah, I went to a panic room. I can't be bothered. I always have weird injuries at strange times. Yeah, somebody came to test me, so instead of answering the door or doing numerous other ways of handling somebody coming to your house, your reaction is to hide in your panic room. I mean, and people are going to buy that?
Well, they have.
They did. It was good enough.
Because no one else questions it. Anytime I mention it to people, they're like, "You think?" I'm like, "Really? In this day and age, do I really have to convince?" I mean, I don't have any proof, and I'm not accusing, but I think it's naive to think that it's impossible.
There's a lot of circumstantial evidence, in my opinion. I've looked up some stuff, and it's There's just there's a lot of stories like that where, I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't possibly leave the restaurant I was at to get tested. Well, it's your job. You make millions of dollars, and it kind of ruins your credibility of not being on something.
Well, and I, like you said, I don't want to get too far into this because we got to wrap things up. But it's like the whole Lance Armstrong thing where everyone defended Lance for a long time, and we heard the case of the superior genetics. And, the article that came out today or yesterday where he was like, it's impossible to win a Tour de France without doping. And you're like, well, that kind of contradicts everything he said before that. It wasn't about the bike or it was his superior training and work ethic. And now you're telling us there's no way you could do it without it.
Well, and my favorite part of that article was he blamed the Anti-Doping Association, I can't remember what they're called, but he blamed them or the Cycling Association, whoever it is, for ruining his life. Maybe you ruined your own life?
Maybe, just maybe.
And is your life really ruined? I mean,
you've fallen down, but I think you're going to be okay.
You could still hang out with your $100 million to keep you company.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think we should wrap it up and call it a night.
All right, my man.
Another excellent episode of Bottom of the Barrel.
Thank you, bottom feeders, for listening. If you made it this far,
I think you did because it was good stuff. Until next time.
See you later.
Peace.